What's up, YouTube? Another vid here for the Season of the Fan series. Of course, the NFL draft underway tonight. The Eagles picked number 2, and just as we were expecting, number 1 pick in the 2016 draft was Jared Goff out of Cal. He goes to the LA Rams. So congrats on the LA Rams as getting your first pick back in LA, back as being the LA Rams, I should say. Of course, number 2 goes to the Eagles, and they draft Carson Wentz, quarterback out of North Dakota State. And, we've been hearing this a lot. He went to a small school, small program, blah, 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 blah. So many great players have played in the NFL and do play in the NFL today that have come from smaller schools. And my opinion, I said this last week in the video, kind of rehashing the offseason, and I do believe it. If you can play, you can play. And if you can play at a high level, I don't care where you played. If you can play at a high level, you can play at a high level. And here's a guy that's won 2, championships with North Dakota State. I know he was hurt last season for a bit. He came back and won the national championship there. And maybe it is a lower, NCAA league, but that doesn't matter. I mean, the guy proved that he's a leader, he's a winner, and I know he's going to be under the microscope here. Obviously, this is a very passionate fan base and one that all we want to do is win. So welcome to Philly, Carson Wentz. I got to tell you, I'm really excited. I'm excited for the future of this franchise. I think they're on the right path. Yes, they still have holes to fill. They're not going to fill them all this offseason. This is going to be a couple-year rebuilding process. I'm perfectly fine with that. It's much better to go through this than to go through what we had to go through the last few years where Chip was kind of running amok. And it was just nuts. I mean, it was crazy. So I would definitely take this. I'll deal with the years of rebuild. I am excited about seeing what Carson Wentz is all about. I understand he's not going to take the field, more than likely, barring any kind of injury or, trade or something like that. He probably won't take the field. Yes, you want your number 2 pick. It would be nice if your number 2 pick in the draft would play that following season. But the Eagles are in a situation right now where they have Sam Bradford and they have Chase Daniel. Chase knows the offense from his time with Kansas City when Doug Pederson was there as the offensive coordinator, and he'll take the offense here, and Bradford's the incumbent starter, so he'll be back as the starter. He can say about how upset he is all he wants. It's not going to change anything. More than likely, he won't be traded this offseason. He'll probably be here to be the starter, and you know what? He's got to shut up and play, because he's playing for another contract. I mean, Sam is like, he has to have a good year this year. He has to produce. Because if he doesn't produce, not only isn't it going to work out here, it's not going to work out anywhere for him. Very few teams will give him a shot after that. So he's in a position where he can complain all he wants about the Eagles moving up to number 2 to take the future quarterback of the franchise. But he's got to play. The bottom line is come the time the season rolls around, he's got to lace him up and play. He's got to be the starter, whether he's happy with the situation or not. There's been many quarterbacks that have had young quarterbacks get drafted, behind them. What did they do? They played. And that's what Sam's got to do. And you know what? The Eagles are in a great position right now. They have their future quarterback right now in Wentz. They have their current quarterback right now in Bradford. If he plays well, that just rises his stock next offseason to get maybe a decent draft pick back for him in a trade with another team. Maybe a Denver, maybe a Jets, maybe one of those teams next offseason. It just rises his stock to get traded to another team to give the Eagles a better pick going forward. It's a good position to be in. You have your future in Wentz, and you have your present, and a guy that if he plays well, you're going to get a nice pick in return. And it helps as the rebuilding process continues. I love what they've done so far. I love the moves they made in the offseason. They got rid of guys who didn't want to be here, and they brought in quality players. They brought in quality coaches. A really good defensive-minded defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. Great move. Even Doug Pederson. You know what? I know he hasn't been a head coach. I'm willing to give him a shot. I mean, he's come from a system where they won. They won a lot of games in Kansas City. Look, they had a great defense and they have Jamal Charles, but still, I mean, he was part of a coaching staff that had success. Now they didn't win a playoff game, but or they won a playoff game. I'm sorry, they won one. But 2 out of 3 years during the playoffs, they had success. Of course, when he was with the Eagles, he saw what that was all about. When the Eagles were, when they were giving us great years, I mean, he saw what that was all about under Andy Reid. So I don't hate the move to bring Doug Pederson in. I'm willing to give the guy a shot, just like I'm willing to give Carson Wentz a shot. I think he can be the future franchise quarterback of this team. I really do. Maybe like a couple, 3-4 years from now, I might be like looking back at this and saying, "What the heck was I saying?" But you know what? As a fan, you just want to have hope, and I know I've watched this game long enough to know that you need to have a franchise quarterback to have success. And unless you have one of those top 3 all-time defenses in the history of the game, you need to have that quarterback in place to have success. And since Donovan McNabb left, the Eagles have not had that franchise quarterback. They've had quarterbacks that have given us decent years, like a Michael Vick or a Nick Foles, but it's been a revolving door. And you can't have that and have that sustainability to be a top franchise in the NFL. Look at the teams that are every year franchise quarterback. Just about all those teams you can name. The Patriots, right? Denver when Peyton was there, right? Seattle with Russell Wilson. Now they have a great defense, but they have a great quarterback too, franchise quarterback. The Colts with Andrew Luck. It just goes on and on. I mean, the Ravens have had a lot of success with Joe Flacco there. Aaron Rodgers, of course, with Green Bay. I mean, the list goes on. But you need that franchise quarterback in place. And you see teams that it's like, if they had that, how successful would they be? You see some of these teams are kind of, they're kind of in that middle ground, right? Where, man, if they just had that quarterback in place, where would they be, right? They would be much better. But you need that. And the Eagles, yeah, I mean, is it a risk? Sure. You're moving up all the spots. You're giving up what they gave up to get the number 2. Let's not forget they gave up 2 players and whatever a pick to Miami to move up to number 8 from where they were, and now then they parlayed that to move up to number 2 from Cleveland. It was a lot to give up. It was a great leap of faith, but they believe in the kid, and I'm excited. I think he can be a really good pro in this league. I mean, he has all the intangibles, it seems. The only thing that he has that knock on is he went to a smaller program out in North Dakota, Fargo Land, right? I mean, but I don't hold that against him at all. I mean, the guy won when he was there. And we've seen many great players come from smaller schools. One of the greatest of all time, Jerry Rice, came from a smaller school. So it doesn't matter. If you can play, you can play. You play in a good system with a good coaching staff, good players around you, you're going to have success more times than not. And you have a good head on your shoulders, you're going to have success. He seems like he does. And I can't tell you that I know a lot about Carson Wentz, that I watched all these North Dakota State, because I didn't. But everything I've heard about the kid seems like he's going to be a solid pro. And going forward, does that mean he's going to be like a 7-time Pro Bowler and 2-time, Super Bowl MVP and league MVP? And I don't know. But again, I don't know if he's going to be. I don't know. I can't say here and say I know he's going to. He's going to be a bust. But the time will tell. And that's the case with anyone you draft. They're either going to be great or they're not. So, like I said, I'm willing to give the kid a shot. I understand that he's probably not going to take the field this year. I'm okay with that. Let him sit there, watch, and learn what the NFL is all about for a year and what this offense is about. Let him learn from the coaching staff. Let him learn from the players. Let him take it all in for a year. He has the best seat in the house. To see what the NFL is all about. Might not be game experience for him, but he still gets to see that. He gets to travel with the team. He gets to see what that routine's all about in the NFL. The practices, the training camp. Not as a starter, but still the experience. Training camp, preseason, regular season. If they get into the playoffs, the postseason, what that's about. I think it's a great opportunity for him to kind of take it all in and learn. And then when he gets his shot, more than likely year after this coming season, maybe he'll be all the more ready for it. And it doesn't matter he came from North Dakota. He's already had that NFL experience a year into his belt, just watching the game, seeing the speed of it. And yes, it is different when you're on the sidelines than when you're in game action, but he can still take it all in. It's not like, okay, you're being thrown to the wolves right away. And for some players, it worked. And for some players, it kind of, it was a little too much for them. So, is it, you have the number 2 pick. You would like to get a player in that spot that's going to play for you right away. That's going to be a contributor to the team right away. But the Eagles are in a position right now where they have a starting quarterback in Bradford, who isn't the future of the team. He's kind of your, hold the job until Wentz is ready, or just, for the 1 year and then we trade you. That's basically what it is. I mean, he's not like, it's not like Aaron Rodgers going to the Packers when they had Brett Favre. It's a little different than that. So, I think he comes to a good situation. I really do. And I do think as a fan base, I know we can be tough, but I think that one thing we need to be here is patient. And we need to understand that this is part of the process. It's not the end. It's not the cherry on the sundae. It's part of the process. It's a pretty big part because it's a franchise quarterback. But this is a part of the process. And you know what? We might go through a couple seasons of, 6-10, 7-9, maybe 8-8, maybe if we're lucky. But that's okay. It's part of the process, and it's better than what we had with Chip when it was just craziness, and horrible football. Horrible football. We remember what some of those games were last season. My God. We don't want that again. And these are building steps to where we want to be. Like where we were back in the Andy Reid heyday. When Donovan was here and B-Dog and Douglas and Trott and all those guys. Those players that we loved. That was a process to get to that. We had to go through some seasons, right? And then we got there. Didn't win it, but man, that was a fun ride. And, to get to that, you got to build. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to build. There was a lot of things done wrong when Chip was here. And the coach and just the moves, Billy Davis. I mean, it just a lot was wrong. and we had to go through that. Now, it is an unknown with Doug Pederson. It's an unknown with Carson Wentz. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this becomes. Because Donovan was Andy's guy. And that worked out pretty good as that number 2 overall pick back in that draft. So now Carson is Doug's guy. And let's see if it works out. I think it will. That's just my opinion. I think this is going to work out pretty good. Going forward, there are still holes to fill. They have to fill them over the next few seasons. You can't just expect that he's going to come in, and it's going to, right away we're gonna be a Super Bowl contender. It doesn't work that way. But you have to fill those other holes, and I think they're on the right path to do that. I really do. I'm excited for this. I'm happy for it. I'm willing to take the lumps now, go through the seasons of rebuilding to get to those, great years again. And I'm excited for it. As a fan of a team, this is what I want. I want my team to give me a chance. To have hope. and I think they've given me hope. And I would hope that the rest of Eagle Nation agrees with this. Because that's what we want. We do want that ultimate prize at the end, right? We want our players and our coaches to be holding up that trophy at the end of the season with the confetti coming down, and then we get a parade on Broad Street. That's what our dream is. And I think these are steps to get to that. And it's just my opinion. But these are steps to get there. And there's a lot more work to be done. And I think that they will do the work that has to be done to get to that level. And I all I want is hope. And I think that this is the start of that. This is the start of that process. And I'm excited for it. I am. I'll take the lumps now to get to the great things after that. I'll take it. Just give me hope. And that's what I think this franchise has done. It's a great night for the franchise, for the future of this franchise. It's a great night. Franchise quarterback in place now, future quarterback of this team. Hopefully that will lead them to some great years. He'll learn, and he'll grow in the NFL and in this and with the Eagles and in this offense. And I do believe that the time will come they'll flourish in it. And the fans of the other teams that are kind of, right now, I don't know if they'll be doing that in some years from now. At least I hope not. But the one thing, Ezekiel Elliott going to Dallas, that wasn't too good. I'm a running backs fan. You guys know that. That's my favorite position in football, and I know he's a special back. And I didn't want him to go there. I know T. Spence was not happy with Dallas picking. He wanted the defensive player, but Ramsey. But Elliott's a pretty special back. He is. And I know that they have a crowded backfield now, but I think that was a good pick by them. And I hate it. Because we have to see him twice a year now. But I was hoping he would go to Baltimore or something like that, but didn't work out that way. But like I said, I'm happy with the Eagles pick. Carson Wentz, again, welcome to Philly. Welcome to the nest. Hey, we're passionate about our birds. You're going to hear us every home game. You may even hear some of us like me watching it on TV. But we love our birds. All we want is for this team to have success. And hopefully this is, again, one of the pieces, one of the building blocks for this team to get to that level, to have success for the future. And as a fan, that's all I can ask for. That's all I can ask for. So I'm happy. I have hope. I think it was a great pick. But time will tell. And that's the same with anyone you pick. Time will tell. You can't really evaluate a draft until like 3 seasons have gone by, until these players either produce or don't. And right now, like I said, I think the kid's going to produce. I could be wrong. I could be looking at this video 3 years from now and saying, what in the world was I doing? But that's how it goes. But yes, happy for the pick. And as always, let's go Birds. And I'll see you in the next video of this series, of this series, which will probably, I can't speak all of a sudden, probably be, I guess, around the preseason, maybe just before the season starts, kind of, looking ahead to the season. Probably be a rebuilding year, but, whatever. Kind of looking ahead to that, thinking about my thoughts of the preseason and, how the team looks going forward. You can't always tell after preseason. I know last year was a great example of that, wasn't it? But, again, I'll probably have that next video in this series, the Season of the Fans series, just before the season starts. We'll kick off Season 3 of Season of the Fan and Philadelphia Eagles. And yeah, again, as always, shout out to Eagles Nation out there. Shout out to Carson Wentz. Welcome to Philadelphia, and hopefully you can produce going forward. All right, everyone. Take care. I'll see you next one. Go Birds. Bye.